Recording. Okay, good. I think we're recording now. Yes. So, hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. This is Relationships Are Everything, especially now. And I am your host. And I'm going to see if I can make this work. Oh, good. I decided to put this together because we are more powerful together when we empower each other. And I think these kinds of messages are important, especially now, especially when we don't have the human connection that we crave so often. And we are trying to figure out how to socially distance ourselves from the people that we care about and the people that we love the most. And also from our friends and our coworkers. And we have kind of we rely on going to work sometimes, and we rely on being with our friends and going out for girls' nights or having date night with our husband and our partners and whoever we're with. And now all of a sudden we can't do that. And we are forced into a reality, I like to call it the temporary normal for right now, of how to navigate through this and also keep our sanity, right? So you probably know nothing about me. And when I was putting this together, I was like, oh, I could write that I'm an author and I'm a coach and I'm an all of these things. But really, this is what I am at my core. I am a big believer in believing in yourself. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a founder. I founded my own business. I love to connect other people together so we can create big, beautiful things in this world. I am an eternal optimist. I will find the silver lining in every single cloud that you throw at me. And I'm a helper. I am the person who doesn't sit and wait while things happen around us. I'm currently working with a few charitable organizations, one most importantly to raise money for families in New York City who need it the most, and also to obtain medical supplies, PPE stuff, masks, gowns, all that stuff. So that's how I would describe myself. And I encourage you to, when you think about who you are at your core, I encourage you to think about the person that you are, not just the titles that you carry, right? Because I think that also will allow you to feel more abundant about yourself. So that's me. I wrote a book. Here's the book in 2018. And it took a little bit of a turn that I wasn't expecting. So my typical clientele base is women who are looking for a life transformation. I went through a life transformation about 5.5, 6 years ago, where I left a very long time corporate job, high powered, lots of stress and anxiety that came along with it, toxic environment, and it was time for me to go. It was really draining me, and I wasn't putting myself on the priority meter at all. I was mom of 2 kids, wife, house, job, all the things, and I was forgetting that I mattered as well. So after I decided to leave that company, I took some time off and decided to go into coaching. I found it through a coach that I was working with, and she suggested I try it, and I fell in love with it after I started taking courses, and I decided to start my own business from it. 10 years ago, I started writing a blog called Why Am I Yelling? And it was mainly just a hobby, quite honestly. It was just stories about my life, stories about my kids, stories about what I was doing. And that has now turned into my coaching practice. So I'm a coach, I'm a facilitator, and I train people on how to make the most out of their lives and have successful transitions, whether it be in their life, in their careers, with their relationships, and all the things. So a few years ago, I decided I wanted to have a book series, a Why Am I Yelling book series. And the first one I thought should be about relationships. And it should be a foundational relationship book. It shouldn't talk about one specific. It should touch on all of the relationships that we have in our lives. Because at the end of the day, they're all connected. And so the 5 Essentials were born through conversations I had with my audience, my followers, my clients, my friends, my family, my girlfriends. I put a call to action out on my website, on Facebook groups, in networking groups that I belong to, and I asked one question, and I said, what are the 3 to 5 things you need to have in every one of your relationships that you think make it better, you think make it thrive, you think you can't live without in all of your relationships? And I got several hundred responses back. And from those responses, the 5 essentials were born. So essentially, I didn't create them. They were created in partnership with help from the world. And the top 5 were communication, respect, boundaries, support, and intimacy. And out of those 5 things come things like trust and love and forgiveness and all the other peripheral things that we think and are so important in our relationships. And so we're going to go real quick through each of these 5 essentials, why they matter in our relationships, and then we're going to talk about our relationships in pieces. So communication is the single most important essential in every relationship we have. And communication is not just talking, right? It's listening, it's understanding body language, it's the way we write, it's the way we present ourselves to the world. And if you are not a good communicator, this is where a lot of relationships fail, whether it be a friendship, whether it be a romantic partnership, whether it be a parenting-child relationship. If you can't have open lines of communication with the people that you love and care about, you're going to have a lot of complications along the way. So learning to be a really good communicator is a really important part of the 5 essentials and the foundations of relationships. And when you are a good communicator, you're listening well, you're taking a step back, you're acknowledging that you're hearing and you're paying attention to body language and you're paying attention to presentation. And if you're reading something or writing something back to someone, you're thinking about the words that you're using because words matter. I mean, I'm sure all of us have been hurt by words in our life at some point, right? Whether it's the mean girl on the playground when we were a kid or something that somebody said to us that we took out of context or whatever it may be. I mean, I'm sure we can all probably think of 1 or 2 off the top of our head right now. So communication for me, I think, is the most important part of every relationship, and it's the top of the foundational essential food chain, if you will. Respect is next. And, I really feel like, it is an expression of love when you feel you're respected and you feel that you're appreciated and you feel like you are a partner or an equal in a relationship, whether that is your relationship with your partner or with a friend or with your children, right? Being able to feel respected is important, but it's also even just as important to be respectful of the people that you are having relationships with. So along the lines of communication, it is listening, it is supporting, it is standing by somebody, it is really appreciating them and letting them know that you're there because you respect their opinion, you respect their ideas. You can respectfully agree to disagree sometimes, and I'm sure we've all been in that situation with somebody that we care about, but it really is being open and honest and true to the person that you are and the people that you have around you. So respect is number 2 in the essentials list. Boundaries. Women are not great at setting boundaries. It's just statistic fact, right? We tend to tolerate a lot more than what we necessarily need to tolerate in our relationships. So setting boundaries it's super, super important. And I find that boundary setting, if you start early in a relationship, it really does help the way the trajectory of the relationship is going to go as you continue on throughout your years, especially with your kids. Setting boundaries with them, setting boundaries with, your work people, the people that your bosses or your coworkers. What are you willing to tolerate and what are you not willing to tolerate in your relationships? I'm willing to do this if I'm met halfway or met at the same time, and we can continue to respect each other, but you have to understand that my time is just as valuable as yours, right? So when you're having those conversations with the people that you care about the most and you are in relationships with, having the conversations, and boundary conversations are not necessarily easy, right? Especially if you've been in a relationship for a while and it's like, you know what? This doesn't feel good to me. And so I don't think I want to do this anymore. And it's like, now you have to have the backtrack conversation and say, well, I know that I've been tolerating this for X amount of time, but actually it doesn't feel great. And so here's how I think we can fix this, or here's how we can work together to make this better for both of us, right? I always feel like there should be a solution to the problem for all people involved, not just you. And so be creative with your ideas, be creative with your solution solving, but boundaries are really, really important. And knowing how to set them is also super important. Support. Just like every other relationship, you need a supportive partner, you need a supportive friend group, you need a support in your children. We can't do it alone. Help is a word that a lot of women, especially, don't like to use because we feel like it's showing our weakness. Help actually is one of my favorite 4-letter words, along with all the other favorite 4-letter words that we have. Help is super important, and it's not a weakness. It is actually a sign of strength. It is, I need your help because I trust you to help me. I need your help because I want to do all of these wonderful things and I can't be bogged down with all of the other stuff. And that was a lesson that I had to learn for myself when I was going through my whole work transition and my life transition a few years ago. I had a really hard time asking for help. I wanted to do all the things. I am a type A control freak, that is self-diagnosed. I like to do all the things. I like to make the lists and organize the stuff and make sure that everything is firing on all cylinders. But I forgot that I mattered in the process. And so asking for help for me was a big game changer, because when I finally did ask for help, the support showed up. And it was like, how can we help you? What can I do? You can do this job. You can do that job. You can help me with this. And once I had a bunch of stuff taken off my plate, it allowed me to grow in much bigger ways. It allowed me to start a business. It allowed me to finish writing a book. It allowed me to be a better parent, a better wife, a better friend, because I wasn't so chaotic and over anxiety and all the stress that I had sitting on my shoulders. And so whether it is a partnership relationship or a friendship or a parenting relationship, having support from the people that are in your circle is really, really important. And then, of course, there's intimacy, because we all need human touch. And intimacy doesn't come in the form of, romantic intimacy all the time. You need intimacy in every relationship. It's a hug. It's looking somebody in the eye and feeling like, oh my gosh, I have a connection with this person. It's warmth, it's closeness, it's safety. You feel safe when you are, hugging somebody. You feel safe when you are holding somebody's hand. You feel safe when you are, sitting next to your children on the couch and you have the opportunity to be warm and close and feel safe with them. It's not just about, jumping in the sack and making magic happen, right? I mean, most people think intimacy and that's what they think of, but it really is much bigger and much broader. It is a handshake. It's also a sign of respect, right? It's like you care enough about this person in your life that you're willing to get close to them, that you're willing to embrace them and bring them into your personal space, because there's a lot of personal space that happens, lack of personal space that happens when you're intimate with somebody else, whether it is, romantic or not. And I think that when you don't have that in relationships, even your friendships, even with your kids, you miss it and you crave it. And then all of a sudden you don't know where it went and you don't know how to get it back. So making sure that you are keeping the warmth and the closeness and the safety into your relationships is really important. And so how do we do this in all of our relationships? How do we have these 5 essentials? So every single one of our relationships requires work. The more you put into it, the more you get out of it. And I think that we all probably have examples of things like that, of relationships like that. I'm sure that we have relationships that we have allowed to fall by the wayside for whatever reason. I think, for me, I've had seasons of relationships in my life, college friends, high school friends, different jobs. You take different people from different parts of your life and you kind of turn them into your core group of people. And then sometimes relationships fall by the wayside. I had a really good friend who we're still friends, but she lives in Tennessee and I live in New York, and we have kids who are much different ages from each other, and we're in different parts of our life. And so we communicate, but not the way we used to when we were both single and, working together and having a really good time. It's just in a different phase. It doesn't mean I don't care about her. It doesn't mean I don't love her. It doesn't mean I don't follow her and am not still her friend. It just means that it's different. And it's okay to acknowledge that difference. And it's okay to move on from those relationships because there are other ones that have now are filling you up and are more accessible to you. So making sure that you have all of these essentials in all of your relationships is not necessarily an easy thing to do, but if you look at it as a whole, it gets much easier to navigate. Am I communicating? Am I respecting this person? Am I showing that I am there for them by giving them a hug or really caring about them or reaching out to them? And I know that, especially now, since we are all in the stay-at-home mode and social distancing from the people that we care about the most, except for the people that are in our houses right now, who we might want to be socially distanced from in the next 3 months. It's hard to achieve that, and you feel like, oh my gosh, I might lose that connection with somebody who really means so much to me. So how do we continue to use the 5 essentials in our relationships from a social distance? And I think the way we do that is just by being more active the old-fashioned way, by picking up the phone, by making a phone call. Now we have FaceTime. Now we have Zoom conferences. I have 4 of my girlfriends and I are doing a Zoom girls' night on Thursday night. We're all going to grab a glass of wine. We're going to hop on this exact Zoom call right here, and we're going to chat because 2 of them live in New Jersey. One of them is still in the city. Another one is a doctor who's a pediatrician in Brooklyn, and she is like, working her butt off right now. And so we were like, you know what, Thursday night, it's going to be a while before we can actually have another dinner together. We're just all going to come together. We're going to see each other, and we're really going to just connect virtually. And I think that this is our temporary normal for the time being. And it's something that we have to embrace and use to our advantage. So make the phone calls, send the texts, pick up the phone, do a virtual meeting, have conversations, send emails, write a letter to somebody. Can you imagine going out to your mailbox and getting a handwritten letter from somebody that you care about? I mean, how long has it been? My mom still sends birthday cards. I don't even send birthday cards. I send birthday videos of my kids to people. That's how lazy I am. I don't go to the store and buy cards. But if we find creative ways to be in the people's lives that we care about the most, especially when we can't be physically there, it just, shows that you're putting forth the effort into creating these relationships and that they mean something to you. I also think that another good way of social distancing is something that I'm doing with my girlfriends here in Connecticut. We all have big yards. And so last Friday night, everybody brought a lawn chair to one of our yards with whatever they were drinking. And we socially distanced 6 or 7 feet from each other in a big circle. And we just chatted. And nobody touched each other. We were all sufficiently away from each other. The cars were, parked up on the road. And when we were done, everybody virtually high-fived. And that was basically how we saw each other. It was weird not to hug my girlfriends the first time I've seen them in a few weeks, right? But it's also a really good way to connect and be in somebody else's vicinity without being in somebody else's vicinity, if you know what I mean. So being able to maintain your relationships with the people that you care about shouldn't be that difficult in times like this, because now we probably have a little bit more downtime. Although some of us are homeschooling. How fun is that? I'm homeschooling right now. I've got 2 kids. They're 14 and 8. Couldn't even remember how old they were. My teenager is in high school. And he's doing a great job. He literally is sitting down every morning. He's getting online with his teachers. He gets online with his friends. He's got his phone over here. He's got his computer over here, and he is working it, and he's learning, and you can hear them interacting, and it's very, very encouraging. I mean, New York City has done an impeccable job with, in less than a week or in a week, getting their teachers up on virtual learning. Everybody's moving, everybody's working. It's been really, really impressive. So that's been great. My 8-year-old, on the other hand, is in 2nd grade, and you cannot virtually teach children that are in 2nd grade because it's like herding cats. So they get online in the morning, they listen to their teacher for 10 minutes, and then it's all workshops and videos and things like that that require parental assistance. So now I am a teacher on top of all of the other jobs that I have. I get to be a second grade teacher to my 8-year-old. My husband is also pitching in. So we're tag teaming the teaching. But it can feel very heavy and it can feel very stressful. And so we're going to talk about this in the next slide, but making sure that you're present for your children if you're homeschooling, or if you are in a location where you are with people that you care about, your partner, your friends. I have 2 friends who live next door to each other. And when this whole thing started, they were like, well, we're going to move into each other's houses because at least we have each other to be with. So whoever you've chosen to be in, stay at home mode with, those are the people who are going to be with you all the time now for an extended period of time. And you have to really set your boundaries and set your space and take over the places that you feel are important, right? So that's how you need to work it with your relationships with others. But let's talk about how we do it with our relationships with ourselves, because that is the single most important relationship you are ever going to have. I just did a TED Talk in January. It's not out yet, but this is one of the things I talked about in it. I talked about how it is really important for you to maintain a relationship with yourself first. Not something that's easy to do, kind of feels selfish sometimes, but it doesn't need to be a big thing, right? It doesn't need to be, oh, I am, leaving for a girls' weekend and I'm not coming back. Like, that's fantastic for self-care, but sometimes it's, I'm just going to go take a 20-minute bath and shut the door and you guys leave me alone. Or it could be, I'm going to read a book before I go to bed for 15 minutes and just have some quiet time. Like, that to me is making sure you are keeping your cup full. I really enjoy meditating. I started doing it a few years ago. And so my self-care routine starts in the morning for me. I meditate. I have my cup of tea. I do it before everybody wakes up. It's my time to be with myself. And it makes me feel like I'm energized and I have the ability to schedule myself and be available for my people and be available for me at the same time. So if you are now in a quarantine situation with people and you're with them all the time and you're teaching your kids or you're working full time and you're trying to manage all of the things, please make sure that you're taking time to be with yourself. And I know it's easier said than done. And a lot of times it has to happen before the kids wake up or after they go to bed. But really do try to take a few moments every single day to do something that you enjoy. Even if it's, I want a piece of dark chocolate and a glass of wine, or I want, to go for a walk outside by myself for 10 minutes. Whatever it is, find a way to connect back with you because you matter most. I know it sounds crazy to say because it's not something we were taught to say to ourselves, but once you start doing things for you, everything else kind of just rolls along better because you're happier, you're feeling more fulfilled, you are feeling more energized and alive in your relationship with you. And therefore that, translates into your relationships with your other people. So I say 3 things to my kids, my family every day before they walk out the door to go to school. And now that they're only walking upstairs to go to school, this is what I'm telling them. I'm telling them to please make good choices. I'm telling them to be happy. And I tell them every single day that I love them. And I think especially now in our relationships, these are the things that we have to think about the most. Making good choices when we are interacting with the people that we care about. And fuses are tending to be much shorter when we are in situations where there's more stress and anxiety added to it, right? So thinking before we speak, making sure we're being present, putting the stuff that doesn't really matter or doesn't need to be tended to at this actual moment aside so you can make the right choice for you and the person that you are having interaction with. Be happy. It is a lot of times hard to find happiness when you are surrounded by unknown. There's fear, there's anxiety, there's stress, there's a lot of different things that cause emotional discharge, right? And what we're trying to do is keep that emotion up and keep your happiness meter up. And so when you are happy, it's because you're doing things that you love to do. It's because you're with people that you love to be with. It's because you are sharing and socializing and creating and doing things that you enjoy to make yourself happy. So find something every day that makes you happy. Practice gratitude, do some mindset work. Walk around saying happy, like positive affirmations are a really great way. Have a dance party in your living room or in your kitchen when you're making dinner. Things that energize you, increase your endorphins, and they make you feel happy. And I think I love you is a really important thing to say. It should not be reserved just for one or two people in your life. You should tell everybody all the time that you love them, because this world needs a whole lot more love than we currently have. And I think that if we start focusing on all the good things, the good choices, the happiness, the love, the appreciation, and the fulfillment that we want to get out of our relationships and out of the relationship that we want to have with ourselves, your cup is going to runneth over with love. And all you're going to want to do is express that to people that you care about. Sometimes it's a little bit off-putting when you say I love you to somebody who you haven't said I love you to in a long time. But when they hear it, it's going to make them smile. And it's going to make them feel appreciated. And when you hear it from somebody, doesn't that make you feel good? Aren't you like, oh my gosh, that feels really good to hear that this person cares about me so much that they love me. I mean, I tell everybody I love them. I will tell the plow guy after he plows my driveway off the snow how much I love him, because that just means that I appreciate you and I care about you and I want you to be an amazing human and be happy and do all the great things that you can do with your life. I am supporting small businesses right now. So if you're interested in getting a copy of my book, I've got a coupon code for 20% off. It's on my website at whyamiyelling.com/book. Buy it directly from our printer. She's still working. I have chosen a small business to do my printing with. It's available on Amazon and all those things, but I don't love to support those people right now. I like to support small businesses. I think it's really important, especially right now, to have these conversations and to be able to support the people that we care about the most. So Cindy Vervante is my printer for the book, and she has given me a coupon code for 20% off. You can get it through my website and you click the direct from printer button, and that's how you get the book. And that is